morning, everybody. I toast to you and all you do. I hope you're having a fantastic morning. Had to do a little retake here because got a little scattered. Part of the energy right now is very scattered, and we'll get into that. So we're here today for the full moon, which for those in the United States will be on the 7th, and I believe the UK and over on the other side is going to be on the 8th. So this will be one that's on the evening. I know that sometimes we have full moons that happen in the morning, like early in the morning, and so some people feel like they miss that energy because the full moon happened at 2 a.m., so they should have put like their full moon water out the night before instead of that. It's okay. You know, the full moon is what it is, but this one will be, it's the whole day. It doesn't have to be for that exact moment. If we were to think of it like that, then every astrological thing would only happen for very brief, like some of them only a few seconds. Because as we think about the astrological energy, it is the relationship between the angles of the planetary bodies and the earth and that moment. And each one of those things is moving in its own rotation and its own speed and its own place, different, and none of the orbits are perfect circles. And some of these things, like the North Node, are not even planets. So it's not like you can, it's, and because of this, these moments only are happening for very brief moments. However, the energy is like a ripple effect. It's just like when you drop energy into a bucket, like, you drop water into a bucket, it ripples out. And that is what's happening here. We create these ripples. This energy creates these ripples. It spreads out over time. It grows. It changes. It interacts with other energies. And it's not it's not for just that one snap of a moment. So as many people go through their practice and understanding both astrology and magic and the energies and all of that stuff, there always seems to come that point where you get kind of caught up in that, where you're like, well, I can only do spell work on Mondays for this, and it has to be in Cancer water sign, and it has to be 2 a.m, whatever. It doesn't have to be like that. These energies graduate, we're still feeling the energy of the eclipse that happened last month, and that energy is still echoing forward. So we're still feeling this rebirth, this renewal, this starting afresh. I have like a toad in my throat, and whenever I get out whatever it is that my spirit guides are trying to remind me of, it'll go away. Anyways, so don't get too caught up on it being in this exact moment. It's okay. If you're a day late, if you're a day early, if it's kind of wishy-washy, if you do it in the daytime, if you do it, it's fine. It's okay. Just being aware that energy is present is the first and like major lesson. That's like the bound that you have to make. And then the other stuff just kind of begins to fit in and you figure it out. So this full moon is on the 7th or the 8th, depending on where you are, and it is in Gemini. And so this is a very airy, creative, flowing full moon that loosens up this cold energy and this dark time that we're having right now. It kind of lifts all of that energy. It is a reminder of this new beginning, of like this grand potential. So we are going to talk about all of the planets and whatnot, and I couldn't decide in what order. So then I said we're going to go from inside outside. So Mercury is square to Jupiter right now. And this is really an expansion of like big thinking, big dreams, big energy, like this. You want to go out and tell people, you want to share your ideas, you want to really jumpstart something amazing. And it can be really uplifting. So we have this very positive energy going on. We have Mars, which is retrograde, which, to speak on the retrograde just for a moment, Neptune just came out. It's stationary right now. I think it's going direct. And so the only other planet left would be Oh, no, wait, did I say Uranus or Neptune? Anyways, Neptune just came stationary direct, and Uranus is the only one left. And by the end of January, all of the planets will be in forward motion. And so part of, like I said earlier, we have this very buzzing energy that can be kind of distracting and all over the place, is because all of the planets are getting this forward momentum. They're moving forward, and it really makes you feel like you need to move forward too. So just like with this Mercury Jupiter square, it is this grand energy that's like, let's do something. You're going to feel very motivated come after the winter solstice and into January. Just a big push for like, let's do something. And so you can really put that to good use. Start to focus on your goals. Start to really think about what, have all these grand ideas. Let's put them down on paper. Let's think about what we want to do and start really putting these things into motion and focusing on that productive, positive energy. And then just be mindful of letting it lift you up off the ground, floating, be really floaty and flighty. Just be mindful of that. You might find that you're kind of bouncing between tasks, you're kind of all over the place. So just take a breath, calm, focus, ground. Think about, this is a good time to solidify a new grounding technique that you can easily go to. Some people use what's called like a heart's breath, where you think about your heartbeat and your breath and you just slow your breathing down for a moment, you ground, you focus, and it instantly puts you at ease. There can be different visualizations, there can be, there's lots of different techniques that people find to help them ground and focus their energy. And this can be a really good time to put that to use and to make it a habit and to just practice it, because practice makes perfect. And you find the more that you do it, the easier it is to do. So just focus on that and begin to bring that in. So that way all of this direct momentum energy doesn't sweep you off your feet, kind of send you floating off into space. Let's see, so the next planet, Mars, is Earth, which we're about to come into the winter solstice. So I guess we'll talk about, because that's important. This is an important energy. We are coming through the other side of this dark time, and it's going to be the darkest that it is, and we're going to come on this longest night of the year. And it's a really good time to embrace that darkness, to reflect on yourself, to make those goals of healing. So we talk about, what goals are you setting for the future? And sometimes we focus on the materialistic goals and the physical goals. But we also have to focus on internal goals and what is it that we're trying to, learn and grow, achieve, like our ideal self. And so focusing on that darkness and turning inward and really getting the most out of this time of year, so that way when we come on this winter solstice and we have this new awakening of energy, you can also put that to grand use. So we talked about Jupiter being square with Mercury, which is this grand thing, and also Jupiter is moving forward now. It was stationary for a while, and now we have this forward momentum. So again, it is this grand, like, yes, let's expand, let's come out of our shells, let's move on, let's communicate, let's move forward, let's do things. And so then we have Saturn, and we've talked about this in other videos, but Saturn is square to Uranus, and it's been 2 years now, but we're finally coming out of this square. And this is like this grand awakening. So in this square, Uranus, which has been trying to like expand our horizons and really push us forward into the spiritual awakening, Saturn has been there reminding us, like, these are the rules, this is what you need to do, this is the importance of having structure. And as they begin to separate and Uranus stays with the North Node and Saturn begins to pull away from that, it's like a shed the rules that you have kept holding on to and allow this grand awakening to happen. Allow this great energy to blossom forth and put it to good use. Make something happen because you have that ability. This is a really grand universal energy reminder that you always have this energy present. And right now it's even more present because of the way that everything is flowing together. But uh, there is just this grand, like, do things energy. And so what you put your mind to is what you're going to manifest. So really start to think about what it is you want to manifest in this new year and what life you want to lead, what your ideal self is, what spiritual awakening you want to have, what, whatever it may be. Because as you begin to think about that and you really visualize that, that is what you're going to manifest. This is also a reminder with Neptune being stationary right now, that if you have this risk of like getting stuck in this mud, like murky, deep water, you know, Neptune is expanding all of this watery energy, both literally and spiritually. And so as it expands this energy, because it's stationary, you might feel that like a little bit like your head is kind of treading water. Like, I don't know what to do. This energy is really overwhelming. And if you get caught up in that, you could get stuck here and kind of be in a stationary moment. And that can, if that's what you're focusing on, then that's what you're going to manifest. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so what are you looking to manifest? So under this moon, over this next couple of weeks until the winter solstice, and on that dark moon that's happening, real close to the winter solstice, which is amazing because that makes it an even more dark time of year. But, sorry, that's a very dark, awesome, amazing, beautiful energy, because when you come out of that on the new moon with the winter solstice, it's going to be such an expanding energy. So put that to good use over these next 2 weeks. Really visualize what it is you want to manifest in this year to come, what it is that you want to make happen, that you want to express moving forward, who it is that you want to be, where you want to be at the end of the year. Really visualize that. So that's what you're manifesting. And don't get caught up in this emotional energy of like, this is too much and I can't handle this, because you can, and you're going to make it through this and get through to the other side. What is it that you want to see on the other side? So really begin to think about that to manifest that positive energy. And instead of letting that Neptune energy make you feel like you're treading water and you're like, I don't know if I can handle this, take a deep breath, let your body float to the top of that water and float on that water, float on that expanding energy. Allow it to help bring you up to the surface and find that blissful, still energy of floating on top of the water. It's one of those most peaceful moments when you just float. And so allow that Neptune stationary energy to be that floating energy where you find that blissful place and not get caught up in this cold, like overwhelming emotional energy. I guess I kind of just pass over Mars because it's conjunct with the moon, so we'll come right back to that because that's kind of a big thing. Yep, so that's what's left. So we have the Mars retrograde, which is retrograde for another month or so, conjunct with the moon. And when Mars is retrograde, it tends to bring up things to the surface. It's like a bubbling, fiery energy that just pushes everything up to the surface. And you're like, ta-da! Which can be very cleansing. So with this energy, it would be amazing to, do a fire ritual where you write down all of the baggage that you're carrying, think about all of the traumas and all of the hurts and sufferings and stresses and worries and things that are really, that you carry with you every day, and write them down on a piece of paper and then add them to a fire. Even if it's just like a little small fire in a safe place so that you're not, fire safety first, but And let all of that go. Just release that energy. Let Mars bring it to the surface with a meditation to be able to write all of those things down. And then set it on fire and let that fiery energy just take it away and be done with it. Let it go. This is a time when we really are going to reflect on, those fiery emotions like anger, jealousy, resentment, fear of self-expression, um, those warrior weaknesses, because those don't make you a strong warrior. Those are the things that make warriors weak. And so Mars's warrior energy brings all of that out. Like, this is what is bringing you down. It's not helping you. And you need to really process that and think about it and let it come out and be done with that, so that you can move forward with like courage and confidence and a healthy positive perspective, and being able to express who you are without feeling restricted. Because it's in Gemini, it's also a time where we have it's heightened airy energy. So communication, education, community, those kind of flowy, airy topics are also reflecting on. So you might feel like, hey, I need to go back to school, or I'm not getting enough education, or I need to go out and talk to people, or my community's not strong enough. And so those topics might be coming to light. And this is very much like, I feel like a bubbling cauldron that's just like, hey, here are all of these things that you need to think about and process and deal with and come out, because the world is expanding, and it's going to expand with or without you. If you step into that energy and really visualize a productive future and deal with these things that are holding you back, you're going to come out on the other side of that way closer, if not achieving those goals that you're looking for. Because we have a really grand universal energy happening now, and it's shifting, and the winter solstice is coming, and so it's just very much this like positive, productive, you can really do things with this energy. For me, I feel like it's almost palpable. Like, I can feel it. If my fingers weren't freezing, I would be able to feel it right now. And then, so I do want to show one other thing. Oh, Mars is square to Neptune, which is bringing forth, so Mars and the moon are square to Neptune. And Neptune is that watery energy. So we have a lot of this watery energy, and Gemini is just bubbling it up. You're going to feel creative. You're going to want to get things done. You're also going to see things from a spiritual perspective. It makes that perspective easier to see, more clear. So again, that self-reflection, this is a great time for that, to sit under the moon's light and let that light reflect on the things that, are lessons that you need to learn, are seeing things from a spiritual perspective, are dealing with these fiery emotions. And so self-reflection, really letting go of the things you don't need to carry, and stop being confined by the rules that you lived by before, because we're moving forward. Some of those rules are going to carry over. We should always be kind and courteous. We should lead with understanding and honesty and good integrity. Those are lessons you should always carry forward, and rules that you should live by. But there are other things that we don't need to continue to live with. We don't need to be okay with. Let's move forward, as a society, as an individual, as a community. Just let's move forward. And we are being presented with this option. We have the whole Pluto thing going on that happened in 1776. If you want to hear more about that, go check out Pam Gregory. She's got a great video on this Pluto return. She's got way more information than I could ever present to you. But this cycle is coming back around. And this is a grand ripple effect. So it's not just affecting, because that's when the Revolutionary War happened, but if you look all over the world at that same time, there were grand things happening, changing. And so we're in that kind of phase again. And we have Uranus next to the North Node, which is just like, hey, let's expand this great spiritual, higher perspective, grand energy. And that's the society we're going to rebuild this time. So if we on each and individual level took that into our own authority, like, hey, I'm going to move forward, making the better choice, doing the right thing, living by these higher spiritual, I don't know what word to put there, because so many of the words that I would use have so much religious connection to monotheism, and regardless of how any religion is practiced, on paper, they all say that you need to lead with kindness. Judge not, lest thee be judged thyself. One of my favorite quotes to tell people, like when I've gotten negative feedback or people saying something about how, well, Jesus says this, I said, when Jesus came across Mary Magdalene, he said, let he who has not sinned cast the first stone. And not even Jesus picked up a stone to throw at her, because he himself had sinned. And it's such a powerful moment where it's not about you judging each other, it's about you doing the right thing. And that's a lesson that's not so vastly preached, because it goes against so much of the like judgy, you have to do it like, I have to move away from that. Just, we need to move forward with these positive lessons that all religions are teaching. It's so funny that when I read the Quran, I got a lot of negative feedback from people in my community who were like, oh, how could you do that? Even like I have devout Christian people I know who are like, you're going to be corrupted and the devil's in that book. And, there's a lot of similarities between the Bible and the Quran, like literal similarities. They have same stories. They have a lot of, the creation story. All of the beginning parts are very much the same. There are just certain places where it begins to diverge. But one of the things people said to me, they were like, well, as a woman, how can you read that book? They're so against women. And I said, no, that's a modern interpretation that's been taken out of context. The first Muslim was a woman, and it was Muhammad's wife. And she said to him, you need to do this, and I'm going to honor you, and we're going to honor Allah together. And she encouraged him to go out and set forth this religion. And so this modern interpretation of taking, it's just, this is modern man taking his thing, doing his thing. We need to move away from those lessons. If we pulled from all of these holy books the important things, they teach you to take care of the poor, to help the sick, to, love your neighbor, to go out and honor the earth, to honor yourself, to take care of yourself. They really teach you to do, even if, you look at all, just across the board, Hinduism, Buddhism, many, just all over the place. And if we all just came to this light of like allowing this new beginning and this universal energy to help us push forward into this shift where we are now focused on, like I said, being kind and courteous and leading with integrity and doing the right thing by ourselves and each other and the community, is everybody on an individual did this, then as a globe this would happen. If we began to call out those who didn't, like, hey, I don't really want you to come to my party because you were you didn't have good integrity, so sorry. I'm not saying hang them in the streets or put them on pedestals and be like, hey, this person was not they lied or they cheated or they did whatever. But if we just move forward with this, like, I'm, looking to be around people who have good integrity, and I'm going to lead with good integrity, and we're all, we have a way better world. And this universal energy that's happening right now is really helping to push that forward. And so there are so many people who are driven to just stand up and tell the truth and fight for what's right and be like, you know what? It's time to stop this. Like, we have to stop. We have to just stop. We have gotten to some really ugly places all over the world, and it's really, really sad. And we cannot continue to be stuck in this cycle. And so each one of us as an individual needs to make these changes. We need to educate ourselves. We need to know what's going on. We need to make informed decisions. We talk about voting a lot. We just had our midterms here in the United States, but you know what you speak more with? is your dollar. I just saw the most disgusting ad by some fancy, I don't even want to use their name to, one, because I can't say it right, but uh, they, very famous designer using child bondage and child porn, like subtle ties to child pornography through their general ad campaigns. And that's disgusting. And so we should, that, duh. You're not, why would you continue to support this company on any level? Just stop. Like, we should be burning their bags in the streets. Same with Victoria's Secret. We all want to look the other way and pretend like all of these horrible things didn't happen, but it's really hard to look the other way when this poor woman stands up and says, he sent me to his house to live, and things got weird. Like, why is Victoria's Secret and all of its associated brands still running? Why are people still spending their money there? Our dollar speaks more than anything else. So maybe think about where you're spending your dollars and know which one of these companies are all owned by the same people. It's so funny to me. Everybody is all in an outrage because Elon Musk bought Twitter. But do you know that the Rockefellers they were the largest shareholder before? So it was okay for them because they weren't public face number one, but it's not okay for Elon because he's a different super rich person who has his fingers in everything and has a lot of sway and says, let's just let all of this truth and muck and yuck and all of these things bubble to the surface. Let's talk about it all. Let's just get it all out and let's move forward in a more productive, healthy society. That's my goal. That's one of the things that I'm envisioning and I'm focusing on as we go through these next couple of weeks, and just really on the world being a better place where people are really leading with integrity. My husband is a land surveyor and he's constantly going out and he's telling me about this job that he's on, and they built their house halfway onto the other person's property, and then they built their solar panels completely on the other person's property, and nobody got a permit for anything. And it's just this huge debacle, and I'm like, I don't understand how it gets to this big of a problem. Like, where was the integrity along the line? And it's not there. So we really need to start holding ourselves and our society and our place to this higher integrity of like doing a good job and leading with kindness and thinking about, what's the best thing to do so that we as a society can move forward and really come through this grand awakening, this solstice, this universal ascension better on the other side. Not just floating along, but like really have that changeover. And with that very long side tangent, I just wanted to show one last thing about this natal chart coming up with the full moon. I even had to like draw out a better chart so that you could really get a good look at it. So we have our natal chart. And as you can see, the sun is up here in Capricorn, and down here in Gemini we have the moon and Mars. But everything is on this side. It's very one-sided. And for me, it's very one-sided. I feel like the shapes often kind of relate to the way that the energy is moving. And so if you think about those toys or office things where the balls like, so that if you think about it going in a circle and all of the planets are moving in this circle, so we have almost all of them going forward and they're all on the same side, so it's like this, that's like it. So think about those balls circling and all of that energy just, and you see the momentum of that energy, and it is very much propelling forward. So I really encourage everyone to really take this time to visualize what it is they want to achieve. What are your goals? How do you get closer to your ideal self, and what is that ideal self? And really visualize that. Think about that in reality, like what that means. If you want to be Mother Teresa, what does that mean in reality, and what do you need to do in order to get there? That would be some really grand goals. But what is it that you need to do in order to make that progress? And really visualize that so that you can put this energy to good uses. Those planets and that energy all just circles around as we come into the next year. You really can use it like a slingshot propelling you forward. So, is there something I'm missing? We talked about that and that. Mars. Yeah, no, we talked about everything. Anyways, I hope everybody is having a fantastic day. Let me know if you have any questions about this full moon and this Gemini energy. Like I said, you're gonna feel really flighty. You're gonna feel really like, ta-da! I can do this. Grand energy, and it's there. Visualize, focus, get her done. Know that you can get her done. Let's do this. So let me know what your goals are in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about how you're feeling about this energy. I imagine that there's many of you who are feeling it as like a little bit of mania, a little anxiety, a little kind of like stressed out. Like I said, stop, take that breath, ground, and allow that Neptune stationary energy to like expand like an amazing warm floating device that just lifts you up into that blissful energy up there with Neptune and this higher spiritual perspective and Uranus and just like, oh, I can see from up here, and allow it to comfort you and secure you and help you manifest this reality. So I hope everybody has a really great full moon. I hope that you are enjoying this time, and if I don't see you before then, have an amazing winter solstice. Many blessings.